Why do we fear the dark? It's a question that might seem simple, yet it dives deep into the complexities of human psychology and evolution. This fear, known as nyctophobia, isn't confined to the realm of childhood nightmares. Adults can be equally affected. Today we're embarking on a fascinating exploration of the evolutionary and psychological roots of our fear of darkness. So, strap in as we journey from the dawn of human existence to the complexities of the modern mind. Our fear of darkness has been with us since the beginning of human existence. It's not hard to imagine why. Picture our ancestors huddled around their fires looking out into the opaque blackness. Every rustle, every snap of a twig could signal danger. Predators hunted under the cover of night, and without the aid of artificial light, the dark was a cloak for all sorts of potential threats. This fear wasn't irrational, it was a survival instinct. In the face of the unknown, our ancestors chose caution, and this caution kept them alive. Over countless generations, this instinctual wariness of the dark was passed down, becoming deeply ingrained in our genetic makeup. Several studies lend credence to this theory, suggesting that our fear of the dark is more of an inherited trait than a learned response. So it seems our fear of the dark is a survival instinct, deeply ingrained in our DNA. But there's more to our fear of darkness than just evolutionary survival. It's also about the psychological factors at play. Let's delve deeper into these, shall we? One major psychological factor is the fear of the unknown. Darkness is often associated with uncertainty. We can't see what's out there in the dark, and this lack of visibility can breed anxiety and fear. It's a primal instinct hardwired into our brains to fear what we cannot understand or predict. Then, there's the role of imagination. Our minds are powerful and creative. In the absence of light, our imagination can conjure up all sorts of scenarios, most of them more terrifying than the reality. A simple rustle in the bushes could transform into a prowling predator in our minds, heightening our fear. Lastly, let's consider the brain's response to darkness. Research indicates that our brains may be wired to react more strongly to potential threats in the dark, triggering a heightened state of alertness and fear. Our mind, it seems, has a knack for turning the unknown into something frightening. Science has not been silent on this topic. Over the years, a wealth of studies and reports have shed light on the fear of darkness, illustrating just how prevalent and impactful this fear can be. For instance, research has shown that a significant number of adults retain some level of fear of the dark, often stemming from childhood fears. This goes to show that nyctophobia is not just a children's issue, but something that can persist into adulthood. Another intriguing finding comes from a study that examined the brain's response to darkness. It found that when plunged into darkness, our brains go into a heightened state of alertness. This response, which is likely a remnant of our evolutionary past, can amplify our fear and anxiety. Furthermore, it's been discovered that our fear of darkness can impact our behavior in significant ways. In one study, participants who were afraid of the dark were found to be more likely to avoid nighttime activities, impacting their social and professional lives. But perhaps one of the most striking findings is that this fear is largely universal, cutting across cultures and societies. This suggests that our fear of darkness may be a fundamental part of our human nature. These studies help us understand that our fear of darkness is more common than we might think. Cultural influences play a significant role in our perception of darkness. Throughout history, folklore has painted the night as a time of danger, with tales of creatures lurking in shadows. The media, too, often associates darkness with peril, reinforcing our fears. Societal norms and expectations further instill this fear, associating darkness with uncertainty and the unknown. So, while our fear of darkness may have evolutionary roots, it's clear that cultural factors give it a modern twist. Our culture, it seems, has a way of amplifying our innate fears. Fear of the dark may be common, but it's not insurmountable. The first step in overcoming this fear is understanding. Recognize that our fear of darkness is rooted in our evolutionary past and amplified by cultural influences. It's not just about what's hidden in the shadows, but also our mind's tendency to fill in the blanks with the worst possibilities. Now let's talk about some practical techniques. Gradual exposure is a tried and true method. Start by spending short periods of time in dimly lit spaces, gradually increasing the duration and decreasing the light. Mindfulness exercises can also be beneficial. They help us stay present, rather than getting lost in imagined dangers. Lastly, create positive associations with the dark. This could be as simple as listening to your favorite music or savoring a delicious drink in a dimly lit room. With understanding and courage, we can face our fears and step out of the shadows. Our journey into the fear of darkness has been enlightening. We've traced its evolutionary roots, delved into the psychology that fuels it, touched upon scientific studies, and explored cultural influences that amplify it. We also offered some empowering tips to confront this fear. So, the next time you switch off the lights, remember, it's not the darkness you fear but the unknown that it represents.